Thanks for coming. My name is Detective Velick. I work at the local sheriff station here. I'm on what we call our juvenile intervention team, or the J team. We were created in mid-2010 with a focus originally on the heroin use that we had out here. We kind of morph and go through different things. This year, our big focus has been on the marijuana with our younger crowd and trying to stop it at a younger age. So what we're talking about tonight is marijuana for just some basic information. Like Jenny said, this is interactive, so if there's something we're covering that you have a question about, please ask questions. It's boring just to sit and listen to me talk, and I will drone on for hours sometimes. So please ask questions. If there's something you don't understand that I talk about or I'm talking too fast, let me know. Okay? First thing we're talking about is hiding places. Some of the stuff we have pictures of, we also have on the back table. As parents, we have to know what our kids are into, and we have to know that they're hiding it. There's hiding places all over our house. This one is a lint brush. We actually found in this one, I think we had half an ounce of cocaine in this when we found it. It's just a lint brush. Who picks it up and looks at it? We need to make sure that we know what our kids have and where they're hiding stuff. They hide stuff all over the place. Here's a tennis ball. The young lady we got this from was actually on the tennis team at one of our local high schools. She kept her drugs in her tennis bag and went to school with it, went to her matches with it, always had it with her. Whoever went and picked up her tennis ball, bounced it to make sure the tennis ball worked. She knew which one it was. No one ever checked it. Her coaches didn't check it, her parents didn't check it, her friends didn't check it. Eventually someone saw her digging through it, and we were able to find it. But she was keeping her drugs very simple. It doesn't take much. There's hiding places everywhere. We need to look at everything. As parents, we should be searching our kids' stuff. If mom and dad had searched her backpack, her tennis bag, they probably would have found it, but they didn't search. When we are searching, we need to know what it is we're looking at. This is a digital scale. It's designed to look like an iPod. If you just walk through your kid's room and you don't pick something up and it's sitting there on the table, you're not going to notice what it is. It is a digital scale. Why does a child need a small digital scale in their bedroom? We're not doing Jenny Craig in our bedrooms. It's for weighing out drugs. Things that are manufactured to look like something else. A highlighter that is manufactured to look like a pipe, or a pipe manufactured to look like a highlighter, and it actually works. It is a working, operable highlighter. The only way you can tell is if you actually pick it up and feel it. The back end of it feels heavy because it's got a metal pipe in the back of it. In the back we have a piece of another one that I had that was a black pipe. And I think that one's actually in the display cabinet back there. Things are manufactured to look like normal products. You'll see some stash cans we have back there. You can buy these at local smoke shops. They're perfectly legal to sell. There's nothing we can do about it. They're for sale. You can get them on the internet. You can order them, have them delivered to your house. If your kids are having stuff delivered to the house, you should probably know where it's coming from. Our kids have debit cards. That's how they're buying it, is off a debit card. Watch their activity on their debit card account. Let me turn it off. Sorry. Go all night. What they're using the cardboard cylinder in there, those use that to protect stuff. On a lot of the glassware, the glass pipes, they're very fragile and sometimes expensive. Or at least they're $20, $30 for a glass pipe. They need to protect it, so they'll put it inside the tube to protect it so it doesn't get bounced around and get broken. They'll also use sunglass cases, the big fat squishy sunglass cases. It's not because they care about their sunglasses. Glassware is expensive if they're using pipes, so they put it in the squishy sunglass cases. Actually, any sunglass cases. You can see some that we have back there will hold a full dope kit. Whether you're marijuana, meth, crack, heroin, whatever, a sunglass case will contain an entire kit. If there's a sunglass case sitting in your kid's car when you're searching, and again, you should be searching on a regular basis, look in that stuff. It'll hold the entire kit that they need. When we do traffic stops and we search, one of the first things I look at is going to be the sunglasses. Make sure that the eyeglasses are actually in there. Our paraphernalia, usually most paraphernalia you guys would recognize right off. If you went in your kid's room and found a glass pipe, a bong, you're going to recognize it right off. Rolling papers, we're going to know exactly what that is, and you're going to know to be alarmed. The glassware, like I say, these are things that you'll find inside the padded cases or in the cardboard tubes from the toilet paper roll because they need to protect it. It's just the right size. They don't want the stuff to break. Homemade pipes. This is what we're not going to recognize. Marijuana pipe made out of 7-Up can. Doesn't take much. They can make it. They crush it when they're done and throw it in the garbage. When you're searching the garbage, if you see a crushed can with some burn marks on it, maybe you need to open it up. The apple. You can make a pipe out of an apple. That one I actually got over here in front of the Kohl's. Mom was inside shopping. The kids were sitting outside in the grass area smoking weed out of an apple. Luckily, they didn't pay any attention to me because I wasn't wearing a uniform. I just walked up on them and went, "What do you got there?" "Oh, here's a badge. Look, give me your stuff." It's kind of entertaining. If you walk in on them while they're smoking out of this, they're going to eat it. That's why they do it out of an apple. They take a bite out of it. You can't tell. The clue on that is it's hot, so they're burning their mouths on an apple. Pay attention to that, or the apple is smoking. Those are the clues we're looking for. Any questions on that stuff? We're kind of just cruising really quick here because nobody's asking questions. Currently, we're looking at, rather than the marijuana, the big trend with our youth right now is the extracts. It used to just be called hash. Now it's hash oil, honey oil, wax, butter, shatter, a lot of different things. It's a marijuana concentrate. Very, very powerful drug anymore. Marijuana, back in the 60s, 70s, the marijuana plant, when they tested the THC levels, they were at 3 to 5% THC. Right now, good marijuana coming out of our dispensaries, we're at 20, 25% THC. Extracts are up to 90% THC. It is pure THC. When you have it that pure, it can be a hallucinogenic drug, and we do get overdoses on it. You can overdose on THC. It's usually when they're using the extracts or with the edibles. And we'll talk more about the edibles here in just a minute. These are a little bit harder for us to find because the smell isn't as strong. When you're talking about good marijuana, you can smell it. Everyone's probably smelled marijuana before. They know they recognize it real easy. This is a little more difficult to recognize. Some of it, the wax, which is more of the common that we get out here. To me, it looks like earwax. It's a brownish yellow goo and real sticky. Is typically what I think it looks like. But we do find the oils every once in a while. The oils can be smoked in the electronic cigarettes. You can smoke the extracts in the e-cigarettes. So that's becoming more and more popular, and it's more difficult for us to find. Yes, sir. He's asked about what the stuff smells like on the extracts. It still smells like marijuana. It's just not as strong. You're not going to walk by it. If it's like on our school campuses, a lot of times administrators will walk by a kid, they have marijuana in their bag, they can smell it in the classroom. This you're not going to smell as much. You're going to have to get closer to it. When you're searching, you'll find it'll still have that marijuana smell when you pull it up, but you're not just going to stand in a room and smell it. Or some of the good marijuana, if you're in the bedroom and it's there, you're going to smell it. The smell's not quite as strong. Yes, sir.
What container?
If you see that one picture, the little plastic, they're like little pill containers. They're little clear plastic containers. I think we might have some in the back. Used to, I don't know. Yes, sir.
So they don't add any.
Typically to this, he's asked about this, if they add smell to it, which they typically don't. I haven't found any. I guess they could mix it with the oils that they would be smoking with the vapes or the e-cigarettes anyway, and add some of this to it, might mask the smell. I haven't had anybody, at least I haven't found it. If they're doing it, they're beating me right now, but that's a good idea. I could see him trying it, but I haven't found it yet. It's called dabbing. They'll use usually a glass pipe, like a bong style pipe. They get it super hot and then inhale it just that way, so they smoke it. Or they'll smoke it out of the e-cigarettes is what we're finding more common right now with our kids. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was going to
On the extracts? Which makes sense that they're starting to do that, because I don't know if you could hear him. He said that at the dispensaries now they are selling some of these extracts with scent added to it so that it doesn't smell like marijuana. So the e-cigarettes in themselves are bad, so if your kids have those, bad news all the way around. Yes, sir.
What's a street
The street names for these, right now usually we get wax, butter,
name?
shatter, that's what they call it. Street names change every semester. Every year, school year, new kids come in, they make up new names. If you don't know what the name of something is, get on the internet and urbandictionary.com, great resource, because somebody will do the definition. You can call us, we'll know it. A lot of times your school administrators will know because they'll hear stuff. So if you reach out to your schools, a lot of times they may know. But you can call the station and we'll try and answer it if we know. The price range for they're getting high for $5. She just asked about price. You're getting high for $5. That's all it's going to take. It's not an expensive thing to do. It goes pretty cheap. Yeah, street prices. Especially with our youngsters, because they're not usually sophisticated users, so they're not using a lot. So $5 is perfect for our kids. Did you have a question, ma'am? They could. It doesn't ingest it as well. They're not going to get as much high. They could eat it. That's what the edibles are. They use that stuff in the edibles. That kind of puts us right in there. She was just asking about how they use it, if they're going to eat it or put it on their lips. Usually the extracts that they're using with that, the butters, they're putting in the edibles. We are finding these out here, whether they're at parties, in cars, on campus. Much more difficult for us to find. It's going to be something more that the parents are going to find. As law enforcement, the school administrators who find a lot of stuff, we're not going to find these things. It's going to be the parents that find them. Reason being, if your kid has, like the last ones I had were Rice Krispie treats. It looks like a Rice Krispie treat. If your son or daughter shows up to school with a plastic baggie with Rice Krispie treats in it, we're going to, Mom made Rice Krispie treats. We're not going to think anything of it. You're going to know if you made Rice Krispie treats, and so that's where you're going to know. We're not going to know. It doesn't smell like anything. The candies, you can see on there, Pop-Tarts. They look like Pop-Tarts. They're just infused with THC. Very difficult for us to identify unless it's labeled. Kids are stupid. They do bring it to school. They do have it in their cars. They have it around. Labeled is what it is. If they take it out of the original packaging and put it in something else, we are never going to notice it. That's where mom and dad are going to notice it. That's where it's incumbent upon you to know what your kids are into. It's also, we need to make sure that they know the stuff's out there, because maybe your son or daughter's not using it, but they go to a party and the stuff is there. We have to warn them that it's available and it might be there and they don't know what they're eating. Was there a question back here? The question is just what we do as law enforcement if we find a car with some youngsters in it, 17, 18 years old, and we smell the marijuana. The smell of marijuana in a car gives us as law enforcement the right to search your car, just as if we smelled alcohol in your car. It's an under the influence investigation. We find the source of that smell. So we're going to be able to get in that car and find it. There's different laws. Driver in possession of marijuana, it's a vehicle code violation. They can be cited for that. Marijuana laws right now, possession, just regular possession on the street is an infraction. You get a ticket and you get sent on your way. We are not even required to call parents if we cite your kid for possession of marijuana. If they're on school grounds, it's a misdemeanor. They're arrested. They come to the station. Parents have to come and get them. If they have enough for a sales case, we arrest them. And again, parents have to come and get them. With the 18-year-old, if your son is 18, issues that we have with that right now is Just like when kids turn 21, right? When you turn 21, you were the one that did the beer run, went and bought the beer and brought it to the guys that are 20. We now have 18-year-olds doing that with their medical marijuana cards, and they're bringing the marijuana back, giving it to the 17-year-old. But now we have a bigger problem because it's a drug, they're drug dealing to minors. They're looking at 2, 4, 6 years in state prison if they get convicted of sales to a minor, which we've had a couple cases like that over the past 4 or 5 years. And it's not a beer run for a 21-year-old now, it's an 18-year-old adult giving drugs to a minor. So if your kids are right on that edge, let them know they're really risking a lot when they do that. Not required. Sometimes we will, but it's not a requirement because it's just a citation. It's like a speeding ticket. That's what we have voted in as our laws. So we can't expect law enforcement to do something that we didn't vote in. Those are the laws of our state. There's no requirement when a juvenile commits an infraction that their parent be notified. They get a ticket and they show up to court. The parents aren't sided with them. So it's very, very likely that could happen. Again, it's going to depend on the circumstances at that. A lot of the guys out here, we do take the time to call the parents. But in our city, I think we're an exception with that because most of our deputies out here, we live out here, our kids are here. We do kind of care a little bit more than, say, somebody that is commuting into an area to do police work. Or if they're too busy. If they don't have time, sometimes, honestly, it's hard to get a hold of parents sometimes. And taking that time, and we have calls stacking up, and we got stuff we got to do, there's not always time to do it. So, like I say, it depends on the whole circumstances. E-cigarettes. Right now, e-cigarettes, all the stuff can be smoked in it. They can smoke the wax. They actually have some that smoke dry products, so you can smoke marijuana out of them. Not illegal for our kids to have. There are new items. They are marketed to our kids. Not illegal for a juvenile to have. Plain and simple. It's not illegal. There's nothing as law enforcement we can do. All of our school campuses have made them against school rules to have on campus. The school can discipline for it. We can do nothing about it. It is illegal for an adult to sell one to a minor. Once the minor has it, it's not illegal. So we have to catch the adult selling it. The stores that they're sold in, minors are not allowed to go into the store. But once they come out and they have it, nothing we can do as law enforcement. Very dangerous. There's studies out there now. The vapor that's breathed out of these, that comes out, there's been 10 different carcinogens identified in the secondhand smoke of e-cigarettes. It's still a chemical. It has a flavor. It's not water. It's not water vapor. They're chemicals. That's how it has a flavor. If it was water vapor, that's what we call steam. They're not smoking steam. Okay? They are dangerous. That's just what it is. We really have to get after it. The juice itself, one of the problems we're having with the juice is it looks like candy, it tastes like candy. One of the new epidemics that's happening across our state is it gets left behind at the house, whether by parents or by other older siblings. The juice tastes like candy and it looks like candy. You get the 5-year-old, drinks the bottle of juice, they overdose and die. It is a poison. Okay? In strong doses, it's a poison. If it's killing our kids, what's it doing to our teenagers' lungs? What's it doing to our lungs? Our kids are going to be the guinea pigs for the next cigarettes. We've all learned over years and years that smoking tobacco is bad. We get lung cancer. The science isn't there for this stuff. The stuff is bad. Any questions on the e-cigarettes? Obviously, I hate them. I think they're a horrible thing. The marketing on them is ridiculous. They market them the way they marketed tobacco 40, 50 years ago, and they've made all that stuff illegal, but we allow it now. And as I say, we allow it as society, we're letting it happen. It's up to us to make it change. The difference between smoking marijuana and possession, we would usually do the possession because we have, we take what they have. If they're under the influence, we can do an under the influence investigation. Typically what we'll do, if they're so much under the influence, we treat it just like they were under the influence of alcohol. We call mom and dad, we get them to come and take them. We treat it as a medical emergency, let mom and dad take them to the hospital. We typically don't arrest a juvenile unless there's some other circumstances behind it that would cause us to want to do that. Usually we'll just get a hold of the parents and make sure that they're taken care of medically because we don't know how much they ingested. A lot of times the problems we get with the overdoses, we get the overdoses with the edibles because kids don't understand it takes a long time. When you eat it, you don't get high for 30, 40 minutes, so they keep eating it. Just like when you probably first learned to drink, you drank too much and you threw up. The edibles, they usually don't throw up, they have a seizure. It's the first time we know there's a problem is they're on the ground having a full seizure. All the friends take off, we don't know what happened, we just have a kid having a seizure and we gotta get him to the hospital and we start searching. We have had that, we had one weekend over at Henry Mayo here, 7 kids in the ER in one weekend, THC overdoses. It is a problem, and the stuff, unfortunately is out there. Yes. Yeah, if it's concentrated, or if the drugs are concentrated in any high school or everywhere, it's everywhere. It's across the board, it's across the nation. This is not a problem specific to Santa Clarita. My partner Bob and I, we go to training all over the place. We talk to people from all over the country, all over the state, our neighboring counties. It's everywhere. It's not unique to us. It's across the country, everywhere we go.
I understand that, but
Yeah. We don't have statistics. He's talking about statistics by school. We don't have statistics by school. There tends to be trends where one school may be busy one year, the next school's busy another year, so it bounces around. We've never identified one school or one area as a problem area. It's even all the way across the board. We get one year, one school may be busier for us, but it may just be the staff that's working that school. Sometimes you get a school supervisor, one of the campus supervisors that just knows their game and they're on it and they're catching kids. And they get into it and the kids start talking to them. We get those relationships, or you get a good school deputy that gets relationships with the kid and we start getting information. And it bounces between schools. So it's year to year, it's always different. We might have a busy month at one school and then the next month it goes somewhere else. So it's pretty even. I couldn't say there's any school worse off than any others. Yes, ma'am. She's asking, do our middle school age kids know about this? Absolutely. They probably know more than you do. It is on our middle school campuses, our junior highs. Absolutely, we get arrests off our junior high campuses every year. The youngest I've arrested for possession is a 9-year-old in possession of ecstasy. Does it happen? Yes. It is out there. Our kids know it. If we don't educate ourselves as parents, we're just turning a blind eye to it. It is out there. And our kids know about it. I've had 6th graders selling marijuana on elementary school campuses. It happens. And that's why we need to know what's going on. Yes, sir.
If you do give us
Yes.
they go to court.
Yes, the question is if a kid is cited for the marijuana and when they go to court, does a parent have to show up? Yes. On the citation, it will say must bring one parent. What we do out here is all those cases come to me. Bob and I triage all those cases and we have a diversion program. If it's a first-time offender, our goal is to educate, not to prosecute. If we can get the family involved and get that kid involved in an education process, we're gonna do that and we're gonna avoid a conviction. Our focus here is to try and keep our kids from repeating the same behavior. If we can change the behavior by not going to court, we'll solve it that way and not make this a long-term problem for them. If they continue to repeat the behavior, then we get the court involved, get probation, and start using the things that we can use, the tools that we have to help the parents. Yes, ma'am.
Are there any
Popular areas where our kids hang out and use drugs. Any place we leave our children in large groups unsupervised. If that's your home, the community pool, the mall, the skate park, the park down the street from your house, transit center, the Kohl's parking lot, any place we're leaving our children unsupervised. There needs to be adult supervision. You get too many teenagers in a place unsupervised, they are stupid. They will do something stupid. They try to impress each other, they start doing, that's where the predators, for lack of a better term, that are trying to get our kids to do something. We can't leave them unsupervised for large amounts of time. they will get into trouble. That's their job. We did it as kids, they do it as kids. The stuff they're getting into is much worse than what we had access to. So we just have to be parents and be involved and know where they're at, check up on them, sneak up on them, search their stuff. Who searches their kids' rooms? Do your kids know you're searching their rooms? Oh, yes, you can. You are mom. Yes. Okay. She's saying that the kids say you can't do it. It's not right. It's my stuff. No. It's your house. They're your kids. You're the parent. You make the rules. You have to be parents. If you think your kid's using something, you have to get between them and that, whatever it is. When you search a room, do different things. Don't always do the same thing. Don't do it at the same time. When I search a kid's room, I walk in, and the first thing I do is I just stand there. Stand in the middle of the room and look at it. What looks odd? Where are they? Where have they been? They're not hiding it in the dirty clothes or in the bottom of the trash can because they don't want to get there either. Are your kids digging in a trash can? My kids won't because they're too good. They won't even take out the trash. You think they're going to dig to the bottom of it to hide something? Look at the room. If there's a bunch of trophies on the top shelf that they refuse to dust, but there's one clean one, you think he's proud because he scored the winning goal when he was 5 years old? He touches that trophy for a reason. Pull it down and look inside of it. It's hollow. The one stuffed animal that's not dusty, is your daughter snuggling with that stuffed animal every night and going up on the shelf and grabbing it and snuggling and then putting it away? No. She's pulling it out because that's where she's hiding her dope. That's where her weed is. That's where her pipe is. Whatever it is she's using. Dust is your friend. Use it. When you search a car, sit in the car. It's within reach. They're not climbing underneath the car, getting under the manifold and do all that. We don't need to be crazy when we search. Sit in it and reach around. Lean over. What can you get to? That's what they're doing. When we pull somebody over and it's somebody that's on drugs, we see them reach, and that's enough for me to pull them out of the car and search. Sit in the car. Where were they reaching? You're going to find it. It's there. We have to do the things. But then do things that just throw them off. I'll go into my kid's room when I search, kick them out, close the door, and I won't touch a thing. I'll sit there for half an hour playing on my phone. I walk out, and the kids go in and go, "What did he touch?" And they don't see anything because I didn't touch anything. They have no idea what I looked at. It just freaks them out. Keep them on edge. On the way to school, pull over on the way to school. Give me your backpack. Empty your pockets halfway to school. Search their stuff. They need to know they're subject to search at any time, and there's nothing they can say to stop it. It happens. When they come home, search them when they come home. Stop them and have that conversation. FaceTime when they come home. And most of us don't have time for those family dinners anymore. Stop them when they get home and just FaceTime. You will notice a change in your child if he's using drugs, if she's using drugs. You will see a change. If you're having continual FaceTime with your child, you will notice that change. And that's when you ask for help, and that's when you get some attention and start bringing it up. If you don't know what to do, there's resources out there. Ask for stuff. It's our job to be parents. And I think that's what all of these slides talk about. Talk to our kids about it. Be involved. Yes?
And that's the best way.
If you're talking about doing random tests, if you're suspicious, do random tests. You can go to CVS, Walgreens, they have test kits. Our schools out here have a program called Cadre program where your kids are subject to random drug tests at school. Sign them up for it. You sign them up as parents. They don't have a choice. And then they get pulled. Those records don't come to us. They don't go to the school. If they test positive, the test results get sent to you as a parent. That's the only person that knows that that kid got tested positive. The only information the school gets is they say somebody tested positive. They don't know who it is. They'll just tell the school, in our random tests, we had 2 positive tests. They don't tell them who. They don't tell them what school, nothing. They just say that there was a couple so that they know, so that the school knows that we're doing the program. The only person that's notified is the parent. Yes, ma'am. At the school, yes, it's part of how you sign up for the Cadre program. If you go to the school, there's a sign-up form. It's usually in all registration packages. I believe it starts with the 7th graders in the registration package. all the way through high school. You sign up for it every year. And like I say, at least your kids are subject to it. If you think that you want a test, you can call them and say, hey, next time you're at my school, I think my kid's using, I want them in the random test. And a lot of times they will do it. Yes, ma'am.
I did the.
Uh-huh.
It didn't show up anything.
That's good. She said she had a random test with no result. That's good. That's what we want. But they know that the test is there, so it's a deterrent. Some of that's giving our kids the tools. If they're not strong enough on their own to say no, because they just have that strong personality, we have to give them tools and excuses. Random drug tests at home, random searches at home, an involved parent. My mom will kill me if she finds out. Yeah, that's good. You know, give your kids that excuse if they need it. Not all of our kids are strong enough to say no on their own. We need to give them the excuses then. It's our job as parents. We have to be there and give them those excuses so that they have an answer. They will be confronted with this. Your kids will be offered drugs. It will happen. Don't be surprised when your kid comes home and says, someone tried to give me a pill. Somebody tried to convince me to do this. Somebody offered me drugs. Somebody offered me marijuana. Absolutely, it's going to happen to every single one of our kids. It will happen. Kids at school know what I do. My kids have still been offered stuff. And the kids that offer to them know what I do for a living. They still offer it to my kids. My son's come home and said, yeah, so-and-so was smoking and he asked me if I wanted to smoke it. Glad he came and told me. But the kid that offered to him knows what I do for a living. Specifically juvenile narcotics. He still offered it to my kid. These guys they're not smart. You have to give your kids the tools. You have to talk to them. You have to introduce this stuff to them. If you have a problem, we have stuff in our city to help us. Action, Light of Hope, Child and Family Center. If you have problems, you can call them. You can call the sheriff's station, ask for the J team. You'll get my partner, Sergeant Bob, who's in the back. You'll get me. We'll answer anything you've got. A lot of the stuff we have on the table, parents brought it in and went, I don't know what this is. And we go, you have a drug problem in your house. We'll help you figure it out. We know where a lot of resources are. If you call us, if you need things, just because we've been doing it for 5 years now, I think, something like that, going on 6, we know where a lot of the resources are, whether it's here, whether it's out of state, residential programs, just counseling, we can find the stuff. We'll find something that works for you and your family. That's what we got to do. It's got to mesh for your family. Yes, sir.
What ages have you got?
What ages are signed up?
Yeah, what levels? Yeah.
It starts in 7th grade. It's through the William S. Hart School District. So all of our junior highs and high schools have the program. Yes, ma'am. Am I aware of ways they can fake the drug tests? Yes. You can buy stuff. You can buy fake urine. You can buy urine when you buy your drugs. We have drug dealers that sell bottles of urine with it. There's all kinds of tools that people have. You can buy catheters to inject fake or clean urine into your system, if they're going to go that far. Yeah, we're talking about just different, home remedies that are gonna hide the presence of the drugs. Yeah, there are things out there. That's where, when they're on the computer, usually they have to look this stuff up. Our kids don't just know it. When you turn on the computer, look at the back page on the browser and see what websites they've been to. We should be doing that as part of our searches. If they're clearing the browser every time they get off the computer, they're probably looking at something they shouldn't be. Might be porn, might be how do I hide from a drug test? You have a concern. You have something to start a conversation. The Cadre program tests for all different drugs, marijuana, opiates, methamphetamine, all the basics. Yeah. Yes, sir. He's asked about our patrols and what we do. My team, there's 5 of us on the team. I have a sergeant, myself, my partner Bob, and we have 2 patrol deputies that hit our targeted areas. They go out and do specific areas where we see problems. I also get all the Crime Stoppers, the weed tips that come in. I catalog those and I put those out to different patrol deputies, depending on who's working the area, make sure that any tips we get, we go out and we follow up on. Otherwise, when I worked patrol, we kind of knew where we were finding drugs, so we'd go out and we'd just try and find it. We'd go out and you just hunt for bad guys. We did that all the time, and guys are still doing it. If we have information, so Crime Stoppers is a great place to get information to us. I like that as opposed to the phone call, just because if you type the information in, that information that you typed in is exactly what will go to the deputy, because I will take what you typed in and I will hand it to him and go, this is what they said. If you call it in to somebody, it's going to go through 3 or 4 people before it gets to me, and it's the telephone game. The information might not be the same. So to me, Crime Stoppers is a good tool to get us information. All of our high schools and junior highs have the WE-tip or the text-to-tip that goes to the school administration. So they'll know if something's going on. Our school resource officers get that information so we can start following up on that. A lot of what we get isn't because we're just super smart. It's because people tell us what's happening. We have snitches, we get information, we follow stuff on social media, but we need you guys to tell us. We need the kids that are good kids to tell us what's going on. That's the best way for us to get the information, because it's correct information. We can go hunt, but that's just, randomly looking. Better if we get good info. Yes, sir. He says, is there a way to trace back off the label? We don't do that because they're selling it legally. That bottle is a legal product. We as voters of our state have voted this stuff in to make it legal. So there's really no purpose in tracing that back to its source because it's a legal source.
But it's prevention. Legally, and then from there.
Yes, but the tracing it to the dispensary itself doesn't help us. We have to try and, we usually start where it's at and see where they got it from and try and go back 1, maybe 2 levels. Sometimes it goes back too far and we just, the time it takes to do that, and then we're moving from our jurisdiction into another jurisdiction, and it's too convoluted. Trying to put that investigation together just doesn't work. That's where the education is a key part. We push that, we push the interventions so that our kids know. That's why we do events like tonight, to make sure that everybody knows this stuff is out there. The education's gonna beat it. Yes, ma'am.
It's everywhere.
How is the average high schooler getting marijuana? A lot of it's dispensary marijuana. It's not being grown illegally. It's coming from dispensaries. You get someone that's 18 to early 20s, has their medical marijuana card, they go down, they buy it legally, and they show up at a party with it. That's where a lot of it comes from. That's just the typical way. It's dispensary marijuana, and it's high grade, very powerful stuff. That's why they're getting the wax, the shatter. It starts off coming from dispensaries. We do get some labs that show up here and there, not a lot of them, because it's legal to deal with this stuff. So at the legal end of it, that's where all the stuff is coming in. We voted it in, so we have to try and deal with that end. That's why the education part, teaching our kids why this is bad for them. For a 40-year-old, 50-year-old that has it for a medical purpose, that has a legitimate medical problem, yeah, it's probably good. It probably helps them out. Those laws weren't meant for our kids. But as we vote these things in and vote lesser and lesser sentences for drug convictions, Prop 47, we made possession of methamphetamine, cocaine, and heroin a misdemeanor. It's a misdemeanor to be in possession of those drugs anymore, which means when I arrest somebody for it, they get a ticket and they walk out the door. That's just what happens. We voted that in as voters. That's what we decided we want to do with it. As we do that, what if our kids recognize that? It must not be so bad. When I talk to kids, why are you making such a big deal about marijuana? It's legal in Colorado. Why is it a big deal? Okay? Legitimate question. Our kids are smart. They ask good questions. We have to explain to them why. It's legal for adults. It's not good for your brain. Your brain isn't done growing. It's going to make permanent brain damage. You know, the Cheech and Chong movies. Why do you think that stereotype is there? Because it's real. That's what happens. You know, Spicoli at Fast Times at Ridgemont High. That's what happens if you smoke this stuff. But we've made it sound so easy and not a big deal by voting in what we vote in. We have to teach our kids the other end of it. It's still bad for them. Regardless of how we feel about it for adults and medical purposes, for them it's very bad, and we have to teach them that. Outreach programs, she asked about programs, are you talking education programs that we do? With the,
I used to work in school and that's why don't we have education in upper grade?
the education programs we have right now that we're working with, our big one in the schools is called Defy It, Drug Free Youth in Town. And it's on all of our junior high and high school campuses in the Hart School District and Castaic Middle School. The first time that the elementary school kids are introduced to that program is in the 6th grade. They get brought up to their junior highs and they're introduced to that program. That's with that program, it's the first time they do it. Otherwise, the schools themselves do it. If they ask us to come out, we come out. I go out to PTA meetings at elementary schools. Any elementary school, any group of parents that'll get together and want to hear me talk, I show up with all my stuff and I'll go talk. I usually ask, hey, try and get me, 30 people. So that it makes it worth it. Let's get some people in the seats. I'll show up and talk. I talk at Lions clubs, church groups, anything. It's just usually it's getting people in the seats. I mean, you guys are here. We put this out on social media for weeks. We've got 50 people in here, 60 people in here. It's getting people to show up. Everyone says, not in my house. It's not my problem. I mean, you guys are here and it's great. This is information you guys need. Too many people don't want to hear it. We got to get people to hear it. You guys got to go back, get your groups, get them together. Get me time to come talk at your schools, at your sporting events. You have groups of parents. Everyone gets shy. Oh, I don't want to look like I have a problem. So get them in their comfort zone. We'll come out and talk. I'll talk to any group. I don't care. I've done, groups of 5 or 6 if they want to come and listen to what I have to say. I'll spew forever. Yeah. She's asked about the hookah lounges. What the age restrictions are, it's still, they have to be 18 or older to go in. They're not supposed to be in there. We have done checks on them. I have gone in and we check and make sure that they're not there. It's just a different type of tobacco. I don't know a lot about specifically hookah because it's not illegal stuff. I don't get it. It's still smoking something. It's still bad for us. I don't know why people think it's okay when they know cigarettes are bad, but hookah's okay. It's still breathing stuff in that's not meant to be in your lungs. But we don't have a lot of problems with our hookah lounges. We don't get a lot of calls for service where people are, using drugs in them. They seem to be doing what they say they're doing. If we just see somebody, the question about, I think what you're asking is, can we check somebody just because we see the puff of smoke come out of their car? We have no authority to stop you and check you because you're smoking. It's a free country. We get to do that. In this city, smoking an e-cigarette, or the hookahs, all that stuff, it's illegal to smoke any place. It's illegal to smoke cigarettes. So like our city parks, you can't do it in your city parks. You get a citation for it. It gives us the right to come up and check your stuff at that point. But all that stuff is legal and it's there for adults. If we see minors doing it, even like the e-cigarettes, it's not illegal for a minor to have it. That in and of itself is not enough for us to detain and do something. A lot of times we'll find other things. There's usually more than that going on. We can usually find another violation of law. Those books are pretty big. We can find something, at least to contact them and say, hey, what's going on? But not always. Yes, ma'am.
Just
And was everyone able to hear what she was talking about? It's just out there with all of our kids. And yeah, it is. It's out there, and they're not afraid of it. There's a ton of stuff that is available out there. You get on the internet and start searching different stuff, there's a ton of things available to our kids that they can get access to that we didn't have access to. How are some of the kids getting? I've had kids that have P.O. boxes. Okay, why does it, if your kid's 18, he's getting a P.O. box because he can, now that he's 18, he's going to go and get, why? What's he getting mailed to him that he doesn't want you to see? If he's in your house, check his stuff. I don't care that he's 18, 22, he's in your house, check him. We're still their parents. I'm 45 years old, there's still stuff I don't tell my mother about. We're going to lie to our parents, and our kids are going to lie to us forever. That's just what we do. There's stuff that, worries them, so we're going to keep it from them. But our kids are doing the same thing. They're not going to stop lying to us. That's their job. It's our job to be parents and be after them. We have to be after them all the time. We can't stop. As soon as we stop, they have the opportunity to make a mistake, and then some of these mistakes are irreversible. We have to be after it. How do we, I think what you're asking is how do we rebuild trust in that relationship? Because you have a son that broke the trust and violated the family values and the family rules. How do we get that back, and how do you feel comfortable with him doing anything again? It's not always going to happen again, but sometimes there's nothing as a parent you can do. Our kids are going to make their choices. We can't sit on them and hold them down. We can't do it. I have kids that are runaways that live in our washout here that we pick them up, we take them home, and mom goes, as soon as you leave, she's running. Unless I physically sit on her, she's going to run away, and she's going to go to the wash. And that's exactly what happens. Sometimes we can't tie them down. They're going to make their choices. No matter what we do sometimes as parents, with all the knowledge, all the trying, all the information, they may still make that choice because we're the only animals on the planet that can do that. We can choose to harm ourselves and do it. No other animals do that and are self-destructive like we are. If that's what he's going to choose to do, unfortunately, I don't know how you're going to stop it. You have to educate him and let him know what he's doing, and hopefully the light comes on and he goes, oh yeah, you're right, that's bad. But I've had heroin addicts that just keep using and using and using and using until they overdose and almost die, and then they go, oh wait, I better not do this. Or they see their friend die because they're in the room when their friend dies, and that's what it takes. Everyone's different. Every kid is different. We just have to continue trying. Keep pushing the education on them, keep loving them, keep telling them that you're there, and just be after them all the time. If you can get in between him and any kind of drugs, then absolutely you do it. But at some point, he's going to grow up. He's going to leave the house. He's 16. You've got 2 years. In 2 years, we can't get that education, and he walks out the door. What are we going to do? We can try. Don't beat yourself up over it. As long as you know you're trying and you're doing the right things, your family's doing the right things. As parents, we can't own our kids' decisions. We can't let it eat us up. We can't let it destroy our families, the rest of everyone else in the house. All we can do is try. We just got to keep trying. We come here, we get the information, and we push forward with it. If he's going to screw up, he's going to screw up. Sometimes you can't stop it. Sir? If you guys are having problems, I mean, there's so many resources out there. Like we have our VITA program, which is a boot camp style program that the Sheriff's Department runs with the Marine Corps. It's a 16-week program. We can help you find programs in the state. There's programs that are run by the National Guard. There's programs out of state where, other states, their laws are different, so they can do a few different things. There's residential high schools, Phoenix House, all this stuff. If you're having problems, ask for help. There's help out there. You just have to ask for it. Don't be ashamed of whatever the issue is. There's help, and we can push. Does it always work? I wish I could say yes, it always works. Unfortunately, it doesn't. I've worked with kids for years, and then I get the call, they've overdosed, they're dead, and now I'm giving a death notification to the mom that I've worked with for years trying to get their kids off of drugs. Does it happen? Yes, and it's horrible. It's the worst part of my job. Knocking on a door, and they go, oh, what did he do now? And I'm there to tell him that he used too much and he's never coming home because she's got to put him in a box. Horrible part of my job. I do it far too often. The reality, that's what drugs do. So that's why you guys are here at the early side of it, looking at marijuana and figuring out what we're going to do with our kids, get them the education, turn them around. You don't want to be that parent. It happens. And sometimes it happens in the best families with everything, you do everything right and it'll still happen. Sometimes we can't stop it, but we got to try. We have to continue to try until that happens. Kind of a downer, isn't it? It's just going to be a change in behavior. We all know teenagers change. They start getting hostile. They hate us for a minute. They love us another minute. You just got to watch all that stuff. And if something jumps out, your kid. You're going to know what they're acting. Stop them every day. Have that everyday conversation. Your day shouldn't be so busy that you can't stop in front of your kid for 5 minutes and make them stand there and talk to you. That by itself will stop some kids. Because they go, my dad's going to see me. My mom's going to see me. If I use, they're going to catch me. And then if you catch something, do the test. Start doing the follow-up if you see something suspicious. You may be wrong, and you won't find anything. But if you see something suspicious, something different, it's incumbent on you as a parent to do that follow-up. Hey, I got to search today. Usually everyone's first thing they do is take away a cell phone. A kid screwed up, let me take their cell phone. The tools that phone gives to you as a parent, that's a tracking device. You know every place your kid went. If you have access to that phone, you know everybody that they spoke to. You know what the text messages are. You know what they said. Their social media. You can get all that stuff out of that phone. It records everything. Use that tool as a parent. Go to your provider and go, what software can I put in this? There's software, if you contact a private investigator, there's software you can put on a phone. It's usually used for cheating spouses, but we can do it with our kids. You put it in there, and at the end of the day, you'll get a report, an email that has everything that went through that phone that day in one report. Every text message, every social media thing, every email, every phone call, it's in there. Every photo they take, it shows up in an email to you every day. I don't know the name of it. I just know some private investigators that use it, and you can't find it. But that's why I say go to your phone providers and ask about it. I mean, they're carrying a tracking device that records everything they do. Because how many of our kids do not leave without that phone? They don't go anywhere without that phone. All you have to do is not tell them it's there. If they leave, if you know that if they're leaving this valley and they're going down the valley for 20 minutes and coming back, why would you drive down to San Fernando Valley for 20 minutes and come back? Probably because you're buying dope. You're buying something that you shouldn't have. There's nothing to go down there for 20 minutes to come right back. That's when you search them. They don't know why you searched. If they're down the street where they're not supposed to be, if you don't have a reason to be there, call a neighbor. Hey, can you do me a favor? Just drive by. My kid's over here. Just drive by and wave at him. So that way tonight I can go, hey, why were you over here? Now I can ask the question. Use your resources. Use families. Don't try and do it by yourself, and don't be ashamed of it. Our kids are going to screw up. They're going to be stupid. We got to be there. If we're ashamed of what our kids are doing, one, they should be ashamed of it, not us. And use the resources. They say it takes a village to raise a kid. Use your village. We're all there. Yes. Household items that they're using to get high. So we're talking about huffing. Which is typically what they'll do. They'll use, I've had kids using Freon. They'll huff Freon. They'll empty the air conditioners outside, huff the Freon. Dust off has been a big one. They'll try any aerosol can. If it sprays, if they want to try and get high, they'll huff it. It's all bad. And that stuff is deadly. I, other things that they'll try anything. I've had them smoke catnip, and catnip doesn't do anything to humans. It does stuff to cats. I think I have some in the back because I got it from a kid. It does nothing to humans, but they'll try it. They will try anything. We can't make everything illegal. So if the only other thing that we're getting right now that we're getting kids that are using is they're just getting in the medicine cabinet. I had one where we found out about a NyQuil party. So I actually the parent where this NyQuil party was supposed to happen was a very good proactive dad. He left the rear slider open and the back gate open so I could get into his backyard and hide. We knew when the party was supposed to happen because one of the parents had access to the phone, gave us the information because they were concerned, and we let all the kids show up. And just about the time they were going to start, a line of deputies walked in the rear slider, and they were all sitting there, and everybody brought a bottle of NyQuil. And their plan was to drink the bottle and see what happened. They had no idea what was gonna happen. Okay. Yeah, probably a bad thing. They're gonna try to get stuff. And where's the one room in our house that we let people go and have complete privacy? The bathroom. And where do a lot of people keep their medicine? In the bathroom. Why? Are you using it in the bathroom? Probably not. Put it somewhere else. We just have a habit in our culture, that's just where it's at. It's in the medicine cabinet. Do something different. Why are we giving somebody else, it may not be your kid using it, maybe someone else's kid. Why are we giving them access to it? Put that stuff away. There's no reason to have it in a cabinet where we give them complete privacy in our home and have access to things that can hurt or harm them or kill them. Put it away. We just have to be smarter about it because they're using it. Who else was raising their hand? That you, the laundry sheets? Why are they using the laundry sheets? It's for smell. They're just trying to mask the smell. They're not smoking the laundry sheets. They'll use laundry sheets, detergent, stuff like that, just to mask the smell. Drug runners will use coffee grounds or different things. They just try and hide the smell of it. So the laundry sheet, she's just trying to hide the smell of probably the pipe, because the pipe after it's used will still smell like marijuana. So if she's trying to use a deodorant of some sort to hide the smell so that you don't smell it. That's all that is. Huh? Oh, to mask the smell? Okay. Okay. Did everyone hear that? They're using exhaling the marijuana smoke through the laundry sheet so that to kill the smell of it. Yeah. They're not smart all the time. Any more questions? Because my stuff up here is done, so we'll just answer questions. You said something. NyQuil party? Yeah, I think. Scissor? Yeah. Lean. Promethazine is a prescription cough syrup. They call it lean or scissor. What they'll do is they'll take about an ounce or 2 ounces of the cough syrup. They'll usually mix it with 7-Up, Sprite, something like that. It'll make it look like cherry Coke, cherry 7-Up, and they'll drink that. They'll take a bottle that has like 200 doses of cough syrup, and they'll split it 4 or 5 ways and just take massive doses of promethazine. It gets you high. If you watch some of the different rap videos, it's in there. It's in a lot of rap videos right now. It's became a big thing. I have found some of it with I had some kids that were about 20, they made their run to Tijuana, and you can buy it in Tijuana just off the shelf. They're buying that and bringing it back. That stuff is out there, just like different. The promethazine is a prescription, so it's a little bit more difficult sometimes to get here. But again, they go into your medicine cabinet because grandma had a cold, put it in the medicine cabinet, and now it's walking out the door. Are we really paying attention to how much we have in our house? What? Methanol? No, I haven't had any issues with methanol. We did just recently have somebody that were doing the nitrous that pops up every once in a while. Usually not a huge problem. We do see everything out there. I don't think there's many drugs out here that I haven't seen. We do get, different, psychedelics, things like that pop up here and there, but not a big, huge issue. So if it's showing up on YouTube, we'll probably see it. Our kids, again, they do stupid stuff and they find it and they follow. But I haven't seen it out here yet. Do most kids start with pot? They don't always start with pot. It is a very common place for our kids to start is with marijuana because it is so available in our society anymore. A lot of them don't even drink alcohol anymore. They start with that. We always call it a gateway drug, and a lot of the kids don't understand what we mean by that. For me, what we mean is it gives them the opportunity to see other drug users, other drug dealers. If your kid is at a party and they're smoking marijuana because it's okay, because sometimes we have parents in our community that it's okay, it's only weed. So, but they're with those kids. If a heroin addict walks into a party and he's the only heroin addict, where's he gonna go? He's gonna go hang out with the pot smokers, and he's gonna try and find one kid in that group to go outside and smoke heroin with him. Okay, that's what we mean by gateway. It's opened that doorway for someone else to come in and introduce another drug. So do they get exposed to it because of the marijuana? Absolutely they do. Because of the setting they put themselves in. It's there. Most of what we see with our juveniles, the under 18, it's mostly marijuana and the THC extracts, that kind of thing, is mostly what we see with them. We do get some others. I had a 16-year-old heroin addict this year. 17-year-old overdose we're looking at. So this stuff does happen with our younger crowd. It's just not as large until we get into those harder drugs are usually 20 to 25 is usually where we start to see that. It does reach out a little bit, but not a lot. Not always. I mean, just because you use marijuana, does that mean you're going to use something else? No, but it's rare that I run into a heroin user that didn't start with something else. Does it happen? Yeah, it does, but it's rare. Usually they start with marijuana and they progress. That's the common thing. Once they've made the poor decision, they're more likely to do it again. And I never tell kids when I talk to them, and parents do it, don't do it, it's going to make you feel horrible. No, it's not. They do it over and over because it feels good. That's why they do it. If you try and convince your kid that smoking marijuana is not going to make them feel good, you're fighting a losing battle. They smoke it over and over because it makes them feel good. That's why they're doing it. Find another route. Don't say, oh, it makes you feel bad. It's going to make you, if you drink, it's going to make you feel bad. No, if you use heroin, it's going to make you feel bad. No, they do it because they feel good. There's a euphoria from it. That's what the drugs do. That's why they're addictive. And if you tell them it's going to make them feel bad, then they do it and it makes them feel good. Well, mom and dad are liars. They don't know what they're talking about. Don't tell them that. Tell them what it's going to do that's bad, but don't lie to them about what it's going to make them feel. They do it over and over because it feels good. That's why they do it. I don't know how much time we have left. If we're more questions? Rooms? She asked about mushrooms. It's a psychedelic, so they've been around for years. They've been around since the 60s. We do get them occasionally. You can mail order them. The last ones I got actually came through the mail from, they came from out of the country. We get them. It shows up every once in a while. It's not a big thing out here. It'll get in a little group, and then that group will usually have them, and usually we can track them down. They're pretty dangerous. The psychedelics, the worst that I had with psychedelics is a young man used, it's actually tree bark that gets processed, and he actually processed it. He took it. He had a seizure. He was at a party, fell down, had a seizure. His friends didn't want to call anybody, so they called friends. They didn't call 911. The seizures went on for about 5 hours before somebody finally figured out we should probably get some medical treatment. When I showed up at the hospital, they were having his parents sign the organ donor cards because they were sure he was going to pass away within the next half hour or so. He survived. That was several years ago. He is just now starting to regain a lot of his brain function. He is getting better, but it's taken many, many years. When he came out, he couldn't write his own name. So yeah, they are very dangerous. They're bad news. All this stuff is bad news. It affects your brain, so it causes big problems. Yes? Rooms, yes. Again, we don't get a lot of them. We do get them on occasion, and it'll hit a pocket usually, and we'll get a group of kids that use them. But I've yet to see I've been on the team since 2010, and I've never seen a widespread psychedelic drug use. It'll hit pockets, and one little group will get into it, and usually we can eradicate it in that group once we find out about it. Again, it's just bringing the information forward, but the psychedelics do pop up from time to time. Yes, ma'am. I don't know what we do. This is an annual thing with this program. This is part of the Heroin Kills program, so usually it's about in August. And again, if you have a group that wants to know something specific and you want to put a group together, I'll come to any group. If you have a church group, a social group, something like that wants something specific, if I don't already have something for it, which a lot of it I do, I'll do the research and figure it out. I'll build something for it. And I guess our last question, man. Yeah, the gummy bears, they do have THC infused gummy bears. So it looks like candy, but they're the edible marijuana stuff. Can be very bad because if he's eating them and he doesn't know what's in them, that's where we get the THC overdoses. It's a toxicity poisoning, and they end up in the ER because they end up having seizures. They can be bad news. That's where we used to say, don't leave your drink at a party because someone might put something in it. Don't take a drink from a stranger. Now we can't have our kids taking candy from friends. If it's not in original packaging, don't have it. We do have to be careful with it. I think we're done. Our display's in the back if you want to look at some stuff. Sergeant Bob and I will be here for a few more minutes if you have some questions or concerns. And thank you for coming.